In this lesson, we will add arm controls. Let's say we work with another box shape, and what's nice is that we already have one. Take a look, we can use the next root. So what we'll do is go ahead and clone that object, make it a copy. We'll need to center its pivot. Let's do that. And now we'll have it aligned to the IK goal for the left arm. Now if we were to press page up, you can see that it is linked to our root, and that's exactly what we want. Thinking about the size of the arms, they're pretty small, so it might be nice if they just follow our root. But if you wanted to, you could always set up a dynamic parent system to blend between the root and our world, or what would be the character's global control. So you have that option, but I think that just by linking it to the root, we'll still get some great results out of the arms. So let's say we do this with the arm control selected. We'll make sure that it's stored in the correct layer, which will be controls. As of right now, it's underneath the IK controls layer. So we'll just go ahead and make sure it's added to the layer it needs to be under. And then we'll rename it. It's going to be NML Arm01. All right. From here, let's say we go ahead and clone this object. We'll get this renamed. And then we'll go ahead and align it to the right arm. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and recolor these objects. We'll use the same color scheme we used in Volume 2. So on the right side, we can work with a shade of green, and on the left side, a shade of blue. All right, perfect. So from here, it's just a matter of going in and freezing the transforms of these objects. And now it's time to set up our helpers just to make sure that we can control our IK goal along with the orientation of the wrist. So let's go in, create a point helper. We'll use Alt-A to align it to the creature's wrist. So we'll make sure position and orientation are all checked, and we'll choose OK. Now we can have this renamed. That's going to be PT-DRV-L Arm 01. Let's have this stored in our hidden layer. Great, and now we can go ahead and clone this object, get it renamed, and move this over to our right arm. So we use Alt-A to do that. All right, perfect. All right, so now it's time to link these helpers to their controls. So there's one, and there's two. All right, great. So it's now time to link our IK goals to their helpers. So there's the right side, and there's the left. Let's now go ahead and apply orientation constraints. We'll take our wrist bone and orientation constraint over to the same helper. All right, so we'll do the same thing for the right side. Perfect, so now it's time to test out our controls. We could start with this right side here. We'll start to move that around. That looks good. Let's go ahead and start to add some rotation. Great. All right, I'll go ahead and use transform to 0 to bring that control back, and we'll do the same thing on the left side. It's always a good habit to test your controls. We never want to assume anything. Great. All right, now how will we control the elbows? Because right now we'd have to fit a control into this tight space. That'd be pretty challenging. So what we'll do is simply work with custom parameters to drive the elbows. And we'll add them to these arm controls. So I'll just go ahead and do that for one control, because setting it up on the opposite side is going to be a cinch. We know this process already. So with our control selected, underneath our Modify panel, we'll create an attribute holder. We'll rename the attribute holder to Extra Controls. All right, now let's go ahead and press Alt-1 to grab our parameter editor. And we'll simply name this parameter elbow. That's simple enough. Let's give it a greater range. So from, we'll have set to -360, and to +360. We can now choose Add. And now it's just a matter of wiring our parameters together, and we'll need to use our degrees to radians function. So let's finish this up. With our control selected, we'll right-click and choose Wire Parameters. That's going to be Modified Object, Extra Controls, Custom Attributes, Elbow, and we'll tie that to our IK Goals swivel angle. All right, so we'll use the lower arrow, and we'll add Deg to Rad. All right, so once we've concatenated Elbow, once it's in parentheses, we'll now go ahead and choose Connect, and we'll test this out. So now as we start to use the Elbow channel, you can see we're getting some great control here. All right, so again, I'll leave the right side up to you. And that's it for our arm controls. For the fingers, we're going to use the same steps that we used in Volume 2, because I find that those controls work very well. And then after we're done with the fingers, well, we just have the legs to worry about, and then we can do some cleanup work. We can check to make sure everything's working correctly on our rig. That's a very important step that we never want to overlook. And then afterwards, we'll go ahead and take a look at your assignment for Volume 3. So just about there.